Hello friends, welcome back to CSharp.net online training video series. Today we are going to discuss one of the important concept of CSharp language, that is extension methods. So what we are going to discuss in today's session? Today we are going to discuss what exactly extension methods, when and how to use extension methods in CSharp with some real-time examples. Let's start today's session. So the first question that comes to your mind is, what is extension method? Let us understand few definitions. So first of all, it is a new feature. So actually it is a feature which was introduced in C Sharp 3.0, which allows us to add new method into an existing class without editing the source code of the class. That is, if a class consists of a set of members in it, and in the future, if you want to add new methods into the class, you can add those methods without making any changes to the source code of the class. To understand this, what I can say is, suppose you created one class, and in your class you have defined some methods, right? So let's say three methods you defined, right? And you have provided that class to someone, right? And you do not provide the source code, only you provide the DLL. That means the person to whom you provide your class, he cannot edit your code, right? Because you are not providing the source code, you are just providing the DLL. Now that person wants to add some new methods into your class. How he can do this, right? So there are basically two approaches, right? One approach is that he will create a new class, and he will make the inheritance relationship, and he will add the new features or new methods into the new class. And by using that new class instance, he can call the methods what you defined in your class as well as what he defined in his new class. And another approach is that extension method. So extension method means without doing any kind of changes in your class, he can also add some methods to your class, and by using your class instance only, he can call your class method as well as the new methods what he added to your class, right? We will see how we can do this right now. So what extension method means? Extension method can be used as an approach to extending the functionality of a class in the future if the source code of the class is not available or we do not have any permission in making changes to the class. So in two scenarios, we need to go for extension method. One scenario is the source code is not available to us, right? Only the DLL is available, so that we cannot do any kind of changes to the existing class. And the second thing is that the source code is available, but we do not have any kind of permission to make any kind of changes to the existing class. If these are the scenarios, then we can use extension method to extend the functionality of an existing class. To an existing class, we can add, extending the functionality means we can add new method to an existing class. How we can add that we will see, right? So before extension method, I mean before C Sharp 3.0, how we are extending the functionality? By using the inheritance concept, right? So inheritance is an approach that is used for extending the functionality of a class. That is, if we want to add new members to an existing class without making a modification to the class, we will define a child class to that existing class. I mean that existing class will be the parent class, and we need to create a new class or derived class, or you can say child class. Then what new member we want, we can add those new member inside the child class, and then by using the child class instance, we can invoke the parent class member as well as the child class member. So this is what we generally follow before extension method. But with the extension method, what we are going to do or what we are doing, we'll extend the functionality of an existing class using the extension method. How? Now, in this case, we will create a new class, and by using that new class, we will extend the functionality of an existing class. How we will create a new class, how the new class will extend the functionality of an existing class, that we will see practically, right? But what is the difference between these two approaches? Okay, both of these approaches can be used for extending the functionality of an existing class. Then if both are used for extending the functionality of an existing class, then what is the difference? The difference is that in the case of inheritance, we call the methods defined in the old and new classes by using the object of the new class only, right? So if you are creating the parent class and the child class is nothing but your new class, and by using the child class instance, you can only call the parent members as well as you can call the child class member. But in the case of extension method, we will call the new class member as well as the old class member by using the new class object. Sorry, by using the old class object only, right? So in this case, we are not going to call the parent and child member using the new class. Rather, using the existing class object, we can call the new as well as the old member, right? And why this extension method comes into picture? Because sometimes inheritance is not possible. In our previous sessions, we have already discussed, if we mark the class as a sealed, that means no further inheritance is possible. We cannot create a new derived class from the sealed class, right? That means if inheritance is not possible, then how we can extend the functionality? We cannot extend the functionality now. This is the reason why extension methods comes into the picture. Now let us try to understand extension methods with one example, right? Now let me first create one class old.cs. Let me right click, let me add a new class file, and the name of the class file is oldclass.cs. Once I add this class file, let me copy the code, right? So you can see this is my class file. This is my old class. You can say here I'm declaring one public data member which is x100, and I'm declaring two public method, right? Test1 and test2, right? Now using this old class object, I can access these two methods. That is fine, right? That is no doubt about it. That we can create an instance and we can call this method. For some reason, let's assume that this source code is not available to us, right? That source code is not available to us, or assume that we do not have access to this source code, right? Then, but what our requirement is, we need to create three more methods, text3, text4, text5, and we want to access all these three methods using this class instance only. Using this old class instance, I want to invoke not only this text1, text2 method, but I also want to invoke text3, text4, and text5 methods. How is this possible, right? One of the approach is inheritance, right? But we are not going to use the concept inheritance. We have already discussed inheritance, but there is some limitation with inheritance. What is the limitation? If we mark this class as sealed, then inheritance is not possible. But here I'm not marking this class as sealed, but assume that the class is sealed, then how you will do the inheritance? Inheritance is not possible, right? And what is the other option? Okay, let mark this as class, this class as sealed, right? Once we mark this class as sealed, then we cannot make any kind of inheritance relationship. Then what is the other option? How we can extend this class functionality? Now we can extend this class functionality by using the concept called extension method. To do so, what I'm going to do, I'm creating another class file, new class.cs, right? And to this class, right, first of all, if you try to make the inheritance relationship, you will get some compilation error. Why? Because this class is marked as sealed, and you cannot create a derived class from the sealed class. This is not possible, right? So using inheritance concept, we cannot extend the functionality now. Then what is the best option or other option is available? The other option what is available with us is extension method, right? So here I'm creating a new class, right? And here I'm creating text method 3, text method 4, and text method 5. So what is the code written here? Don't go with the code right now. Let us first understand the functionality, what we want to achieve, whether we are achieving the functionality or not. So once we see the output and once you test the code, then I will explain this code line by line, right? So this is how I'm creating a new class, and I'm providing three methods. And now what my requirement is, now can I access these three methods, text3, text4, text5, using the old class object? Yes, we can access this. Let us first test this, and then we will understand the code, right? So let me copy the code. So what I'm doing here, I'm creating the instance of old class, right? And here I'm creating one instance of old class. I'm not only calling the text1, text2 method, which is defined inside the old class, but using the same instance, right? Using the same instance, I am also accessing text3, text4, and text5 method. How it is possible? This is possible because of extension. If you look, these 3, 4, and 5 are defined inside a different class, but by using the old class object only, we are accessing this method. This is nothing but your extension. Right now, if you run the application, then you will see that all the 4 methods, right, all the 5 methods are going to be executed without giving any kind of a compilation error, right? So you can see method 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is fine, right? Now we need to understand extension methods, right? So while working with the extension methods, we need to understand what is exactly this extension method, and how we are creating this extension method, and how it is going to work, and how it is working. That we need to understand. Okay, let us understand 5 pointers, right? So that you can understand the extension method very clearly, right? So first point, extension method must be defined only under the static class, right? So so what it means, if you want to define any extension method, then it should be defined under a static class, right? And if you go to the new class, then you will see that we have defined this new class as static or not. Yes, the new class is static. That means in a static class only we can define extension method, right? So now the second point. So we already discussed in our static session that if we are creating a static class, it means it is going to contain only static members, right? So static member means any kind of a member you defined inside a static class, right? Whether it is a method or whether it is a property, whether it is a constructor, it should be a static, right? As it is a static class, right? So as it is a static class, we are going to define the extension method as static, right? So if you go to the class definition, then you will see that test3, test4, text5, all these 3 methods are defined as static method. So the first point is the class should be declared as static. The second point is the method should be declared as static, right? So, and it is mandatory. Why? Now, because it is a static class. Static class means whatever method you are going to define, it should be static only. So this is the second point that you need to remember, right? The third point means the first parameter of an extension method is known as the binding parameter, which should be the name of the class to which the method has to be bound, and the binding parameter should be prefixed with this keyword. So first of all, you just tell me. So we are creating this extension method for which class? We are creating this extension method for our old class. That means this extension method first parameter should be the class to which this method is going to bind. This method is going to bind with the old class, and this is the reason why you will see that all the 3 method first parameter is going to be old class. And remember, the first parameter should be preceded with this keyword. Why I am using this keyword? Because if you remember, this method is a static method, right? If you want to access this method using class new class, then you can access this method using this text3. But we want to access this method from the old class object mean. That means we need to convert this method to a non-static method, right? And this is the reason why you will see that the first parameter what we are using, that we are preceded with the keyword this. This means this will convert the static method to a non-static method, and then by using the non-static as once it becomes a non-static method, right, then using the old class object you can access those methods. So this is the reason why you can see this method, even though this in this class this method is created as a static, but it will behave like a non-static method when you try to access this method using the old class object, right. An extension method can have only one binding parameter, and that should be defined in the first place of the parameter. If you look at the class definition, right, so this method should be extended for a single class only. It is not possible to extend this method to 2 different classes. It should be extended for a single class, and that should be the first parameter in the parameter list. And in this case, all the 3 methods, if you look, the first parameter is nothing but the class name, and that first parameter should be preceded with this keyword, right? And the last point is, if required, an extension method can be defined with a normal parameter also, starting from the second place of the parameter list, right? If required, you can pass normal parameter, and in this case, if you remember test4 method, we are passing a integer parameter. That means additional or extra or normal parameter can also accept, right? And while you are going to call this text for method, then you need to pass some integer value. For the text one, for the first parameter, we are not passing any value, but for the second parameter, if you are defining any normal parameter, then you need to pass value for those parameters. So this is how you can implement static method, and you can implement static method as an extension method for an existing class right now. Now let us understand this extension method with one real-time example. We understand what are extension method and how to implement extension method in C#. Now let us go in detail and try to understand at what scenario we need to use we need to use extension method, right? Let us understand this with one real-time scenario. See, as you know, string is a built-in class provided by the .NET framework. So as string is a built-in class, that means the source code is not available with us, right? As the source code is not available with us, then we cannot add any method to the existing string class. That means why we cannot edit the class and we cannot add one new method to the class. And also, if you go to the definition of string class, then you will see that the string class is a shield class, right? If you right click on the string and go to definition, then you will see that the string class is a shield class. As it is a shield class, you cannot do any kind of inheritance relationship, right? Inheritance relationship means it is not possible to create a class by inheriting from the string class. And if you try, then you will get some kind of error. So some string, and if you try to inherit this from string class, sorry, not strong, it should be string, then you will see you will get some kind of error. What error? It will tell you that this is a string. The string is a shield class, and you cannot derive a new class from the string class. You can see cannot derive from the shield type string. But now, what is my business requirement is I want to add a new method. What method I want to call this get word method, get word count method on the string object, and that method should return me the number of words present in the string. For example, suppose I am having one string, right? Like this welcome to .NET tutorial extension methods article, and I can access this get word count method on the string object, and it should return me the number of words present in the string. For example, in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need to split the word by space, and we need to get the count, the number of words present inside the string. So in this case, the number of word is 7. So this get word count method should return me 7. How we can achieve this? We can achieve the above requirement by using the extension method. So let us first create an extension class for string, that is string extension, and then we will understand how to implement that. So let me create a class string extension.cs. Okay, now let me copy this code. So once you create the class file, then let me copy the code. So then I will explain in the code. See, so first of all, as I'm going to implement this get word count method as an extension method of the string class, then first of all, I need to create one class, one static class. So I'm creating this static class and I'm providing the name as string extension. As it is a static class, whatever member we are going to define inside class, inside the static class going to be static. So here I'm making this method as static. As this method is going to return me the number of word present in the string, number of word means it is going to return me some integer value. So I'm making the return type of this method as integer, and as I want to invoke this method on the string object, so the first parameter, or you can say this method belongs to, this method should be binded with which class? It should be binded with string class. That is the reason why I'm passing the first parameter as string class name, and I am preceding this string parameter with this keyword so that I can create an instance and I can invoke this method, right? Then this input string is nothing but on the object, on the string object on which we are calling this method. And if that string object is null or empty, that means the string doesn't hold any data, right? Whether it is a null value or whether the string is empty, in that case, we will return the count as a 0. If the string contains any data, right, it contains any word, then what I'm doing, splitting the string data right, by using the space. So whenever it find a space, it will split the word, and according to this, it will suppose there are 7 words, 7 spaces in the string. So it will split that word into 7 string, and it will store all the string inside the string array, right? So if the string contains 3 words, means this string array is going to contain 3 elements. If the string contains 7 words, then this string array is going to contain 7 elements. And finally, we are invoking this count method, right? This count method, it is actually a LINQ method. And if you go to the definition, then you will see that this method is going to return me the number of elements in a sequence. Sequence means it might be a collection. So in this case, it is a collection. In this collection, how many elements are there? That count it is going to return, which is nothing but one integer value. And if you further check, the return type is going to be integer only, right? So if 7 words are there in this string array, or 5 words are there in this string array, that number it is going to return, right? So this is how we are implement this get word count method as an extension method to this string class. Now what we are going to do is we are going to check whether this functionality is working fine or not. So what I'm trying to do, I'm creating one string, and then I'm calling this get word count method, right? So, and if you go to the definition, then you will see that the definition is implemented here. But we are accessing this by using the string object. This is the string object, and using the string object, we are calling this method. And how many this string object having how many words? So this many word 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 word. That means this method is going to return me one integer number. That value is 7. So once we run this application, it should print the string and the number of words present in that string. And in this example, it should print the count as 7. Let me run the application and see the output. Yes, you can see this is the string and the count. Count means the number of words present in the string is 7. So this is how you can implement extension method if you do not have access to the source code, right? Or if you do not have source code with you, right? With you means if it's a built-in class, if the class is provided by someone else and you just have the DLL, you cannot edit the source code, then in that case, you can go with the extension method. And further, if inheritance is not possible, and in this case, if you look at the string class, then you will see that this class is marked as sealed, so we cannot do any kind of inheritance relationship, right? So what is inheritance, right? So this definition, what I'm provided here, it is according to MSDN. MSDN means Microsoft. Extension method in C# enable us to add method to an existing type without creating a new derived type. In this case, you can see this string extension class. It is not derived from the string class, right? Without modifying the original type. So in this case, it is not doing any kind of changes to the string class, right? Extension methods are static methods. You can see this extension method are static method, right? They are defined inside a static class, right? What they are called is they are called as if they were instance method of the extended type, right? But if you look, then we are calling this like like non-static method only, right? So you can see I'm not calling this method by using the string class name, rather I'm calling this by using the string object. Object means it is a non-static method, right? LINQ, see, whenever you are working with any kind of a .NET application, then LINQ language integrated query plays an important role, right? LINQ is a vast topic which we will discuss in our coming sessions, right? So, but just for now, to give you a brief introduction to LINQ, so what I can say that LINQ provides so many methods, right? And all those methods are implemented as extension method, right? So once we start discussing the LINQ concept, then you will get better clarity, better idea, or better use cases of extension method. But the point, the fundamental thing that you need to remember is LINQ uses the extension methods effectively, right? Effectively in the sense, if I'm creating any kind of functionality, right? So don't go with the code right now. So what is this list? What I'm creating here? Don't go with this. And what is this integer list? What is this var? We'll discuss everything in detail. But further, to remember one thing, to focus on this. So here I'm using one extension, one method called where. And this method is defined inside some classes as extension method. And which classes? This method is defined inside this system.collection.IEnumerable or system.collection.generic.IEnumerable of T type. So if you go to this this LINQ method, then you will see that this method is implemented as an extension method, right? Extension method in the sense, if you see, this is the where LINQ method, and the first parameter is nothing but the class name, the class name to which this extension method belongs. So right. So once we discuss the LINQ concept, then you will get a better clarity or better idea about this extension method, right? That's it for today. In case you need the text version of this video, right, what I'm showing in the presentation, then I will provide the link in the video description section. Just go to that link, get the documents, and do the practice. Thank you for watching this video.